next topic, Taxation Basics, is going to be covered by Amanda Daluga. Amanda is president of Good Financial in Lansing, Illinois. She is a graduate of Olivet Nazarene University with a bachelor's degree in business administration. As an enrolled agent licensed to practice before the IRS, Amanda takes the fear out of tax time by concentrating on financial planning while looking at potential tax implications. Give it up for Amanda Daluga.
I'll try not to make this a snooze fest. It's about taxes, so not the most lively topic that we could get on today. But Tony gave a lot of great insight on saving and planning, which ties a lot into our tax situation, because what we have to do is at the end of the year wrap it all up with a nice little bow on top of a tax return and submit that to the IRS. So what we can do is just kind of plan for what's going to happen on that tax return, and know what's going to take place. So let me go to the next slide here. Okay, so we're talking about college today, and we know that we get to deduct some of our college expenses, so we're going to start with what's actually a qualified college expense. Tuition and fees are qualified. The IRS lets us deduct that on our tax return as an expense. And books and supplies. Things that are not qualified. Room and board expenses. Insurance and medical expenses. The IRS says, no thank you, that's on you. And that entertainment budget that we like to have with our friends, the beer fund, that is not deductible either. We have a nice little quote here from Robert Gordon. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. This is a great place to start with this seminar on what we need to do to plan for our future, college, savings, taxes, life, retirement. We have all these things that are impacting us. Everything we do impacts our money, and so we're going to start off learning a few things. Okay, so we have some things that take place with the tax return with college expenses. We have our 529 plans, which is where we get to save for college, right? We get to stash some cash. There's some tax benefits we get to save money on our state income tax. But we need to know if we have those nice 529 plan accounts, we've got to be aware that when we're paying for school and we pull it out of those savings plans, let's say we have $10,000 of expenses, but we have $8,000 that we pulled out of our 529 plan to pay for that $10,000 of college. We only get to deduct $2,000 of that expense. The IRS says you already have the tax benefit of saving for college through the 529 plan. We're not going to let you take that on the as a benefit on the tax return if we pay for college out of it. You just need to be aware that don't get to the end of the year and say, hey, but I spent $10,000, but we don't get to take get a tax credit for that whole amount. Some available tax credits for you. We have the really awesome one, the American Opportunity Tax Credit. This one gives you a nice benefit of up to $2,500 back on your taxes we paid in for going to school and paying for our expenses. Things to be aware of. There are some limitations that come along with this, some income limits. So if we make some good money here, we're single, we make $80,000 a year, the IRS says, sorry, you can't, we're going to start limiting how much you get to deduct on your taxes, or how much of a credit you get to receive. Okay, so if we make $80,000, and if you're married, filing joint, and you are reaching $160,000, we get to start limiting that $2,500 credit that you get. Once you reach $90,000 as a single person and $180,000 as a married couple, you don't get that credit at all. So there's no benefit. You just get to pay and bless your children by paying for that college tuition all on your own. And the kids are going to thank you for it. Nice thing about the American Opportunity Credit, it's going to require your kids to walk a straight path, because if you get a drug felony, nope, you're off the hook, you don't get it. So we got to keep these kids, stay off drugs, kids. So we can't have that. And It's valid for 4 years. Keep it in mind, so you get $2,500 credit for 4 years. But be aware, how long are we actually in school for in tax years? 5, because we kind of cross over because the school year goes fall and spring, and the tax year goes January through December. So we actually hit 5 years of taxes where we're paying for school, but we only get this $2,500 for the tax credit. But wait, there's more. We do have a lifetime learning credit where for that 5th year, or that 5th tax year that we hit, and you get up to $2,000 tax credit of your it's large. How it works is you get up to $2,000, but it's based on 20% of your first $10,000 of expenses. So there's a little numbers game that they play with you on that one. And again, with everything else, there comes limitations. So if we start making more money, we don't get to have it. So things to think about when we graduate school in May, that's our 5th tax year. So if you're gonna come out of school with this great income and you're single, we haven't gotten married yet, you're maxed out at $67,000. So if you start making money, get that good job, probably not going to be able to take it. So just be aware that these credits are available, you do want them, but we may be limited to what we can receive from them. This is a very important form. This is called a 1098-T. This is the exact form that you will need to provide to your tax provider so that you can get any of those tax credits that are available to you. And we need to be aware of where this comes from. This does not get mailed to your house like your nice W-2. Your employer, wraps it up for you and gets it to you by January 31st. Nope. This one, the schools have figured out how to save money as postage rates increase, and they want you to go retrieve it from the student account online. So you're responsible for getting this yourself. It is available. You just have to go get it. You will need this 1098-T. This reports the tuition expense that you paid to the school. With paying for college, we've talked a lot about how we're going to do that. One of those ways that was discussed is student loans. We're all familiar with the concept of student loans, what they mean, where they come from, how to get them. Now it's how to pay for them. So we have some benefits to having student loans, and the only benefit to having a student loan, well, I guess there's two, it helped you get through school. The other benefit is all that interest that you pay on those student loans, there is a tax deduction for that on your tax return. So we need to be aware of it. You will get a nice little form from your loan debt provider with saying how much interest you paid. But we have a maximum of $2,500. In interest that you can deduct. And with everything else, there is that income limits that we have to be aware of. So let's say we went to school and we're out of school and we're paying for that student loan, and we're the engineers and the doctors and the dentists and the lawyers, and we came out, we made our great money. Guess what? You have those fat student loans, but you don't get any benefit for them because the income limits cut off at anyone single making $80,000 a year. You're not getting any of it. So, lesson here is, let's get these student loans paid off like Tony was talking about. The idea is not to keep them around like they're your best friend. Let's get them paid off. And Tony talked about some practical plans of how we can go about and attack them, get them off your books there, because they're going to just hurt you, they're going to bring you down, they're going to hold you back. So we want to get those paid off because there's going to be limited benefit to them the more money you make. And we may not come out of school that first year, maybe our social workers and come out of school and they're maybe making $40,000. So maybe in the beginning they're not making a lot, but guess what? Oh, you got married And so now you're making more money and your spouse is making really good money. And so here you are, 35, still paying off the student loans, and you don't have any benefit for them. So keep that at the forefront of your mind. This should be your number one priority, not your $4 latte, because we've already heard about how those are going to damage your finances. Okay? So these student loans are equally painful and equally detrimental. Okay. So last thing we're going to talk about is, I love this quote. People often say motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. Every day we have to stay motivated. We have to choose to be motivated. Okay, our little guy here is climbing up a set of stairs. He's not going down a slide. Staying motivated is hard work. Okay? Climbing stairs, we've had to climb 3 flights of stairs to get up to this room today. At the end of it, I was kind of a little out of breath. It would have been nice to have a slide down to the basement. But good things happen when you work hard, which is what's important about going to school. You're going to work hard, you're doing the work in the beginning, but we've got to stay focused on the end game. It's not what's just happening today, what decisions we're making today, because what we do today affects everything we do tomorrow. Those student loans you're taking out today, they're impacting that car you're going to buy, that house you're going to buy, those kids you're going to have to clothe, where you even go to work, because maybe you have to work, you can't work your dream job doing something fabulous because it's not going to pay as much because you've got to work over here to make more money or work 2 jobs to get this paid off. So we've got to stay focused on the future. Things like when we're talking about going to school and we're planning for school and we're in school, we've got to play the role of the college student, and that's the broke college student. Because broke college students come out of school having money, right? Because the ones that went to school like they weren't the broke college student, they were buying the $4 lattes. And they were borrowing, they were using all their money and spending all their money and borrowing everything for school, and they come out and they're broke. Then they're the broke adult, right? Living in mom's basement. Do we want to be the one living in mom's basement till we're 30? No, we don't. We don't. And mom doesn't want you living in her basement, okay? So the only way we're going to overcome that is if we make good choices and do the hard work and stay motivated. So we've got to make good choices. I like what Tony talked about with the budgeting. He kind of gave some good knowledge on the concepts of budgeting. We've got to use a budget. We've got to be aware of how we're spending our money and where we're spending it. If we don't do that, we're going to wake up when we're 30 and we still have our $60,000 student loans hanging around our neck and wondering why I can't move out of mom's basement. And then you're going to have to bring your spouse to live in your basement too because you can't afford to do it together. So part of making good choices and doing the hard work, pick a degree that is employable, okay? We pick a degree because it sounds nice, but we have to know going into that degree what we're going to get, how we're going to get a paycheck from that degree, okay? Degrees in basket weaving aren't going to make the mortgage payment or the rent payment or the car payment or the student loan payment. So we've got to think about, if I want a degree in psychology, we need to say, am I going to be a psychologist, or am I going to use that psychology degree for something else? English degrees, if I want to get a degree in English, okay, they're great degrees, but what am I going to do with that? Right? Because I have a lot of people that say, I have a degree in English, but I don't want to be an English teacher, and I don't know what to do with it. That's things you have to think about before you go and get that degree, not after you get the bachelor's degree and you've got your piece of paper and now you don't know how to get a job with it. So we've got to think about these things beforehand. And we often hear things about, how to have a successful life. Go to school, go to school, go to school. But we can't just go to school and get our bachelor's degree. We've got to work hard. Work hard. We can't major in beer and babes, okay? Beer and babes aren't going to get us gainful employment, right? So we've got to work hard. We've got to work hard. We have to focus less on what's happening on Friday night and working hard throughout school, and then get out of school and work hard. Okay, one last thing I see a lot of, the new car. The new car. And yeah, we had Tony touch on that a little bit, and he talked about, it doesn't make sense to borrow, pay interest on a car that's a depreciating asset. I would like to encourage not to buy a new car, period, because the biggest thing that's going to destroy your financial future are brand new cars. There are plenty of nice cars out there that are $12,000, $15,000. Nice used cars, few years old. They got 25,000 miles on it. It's practically a brand new car. So I want to encourage you, when you're making these choices, that when you're in school or when you get out of school, to focus on maybe upgrading the car to a used car of maybe that's just 4 or 5 years old. Maybe you get rid of the 10-year-old or the 20-year-old car that has more rust on it than it's being held together by duct tape, okay? But we don't need a brand new car. Brand new cars are not the only reliable cars out there, okay? There's plenty that are available. And so we can take that money and that we didn't spend on that brand new car that we're just gonna get rid of in a few years, and we can put it towards our student loan debt so we don't have to live in mom's basement. And then I think, the last thing, choosing wisely. Choosing wisely. College, you know what happened in college? We meet our special someone. We meet that special someone. We want to make sure that when we choose that special someone, we have common values. I think Tony touched on that a little bit earlier too. Common values, not just common interests. Okay? Common interests is, she makes me laugh. He likes the same movies as me. But our common values are, we have the same, we know how, this is what our goals are. We want to reach these goals. This is how we're going to take care of our money. This is how we value money. This is how we want to raise children. This is what kind of environment we want to raise our children. What kind of, how we treat our family members, and how we deal with people. Those are our common values. And so we need to be thinking about those things as we go through life and making those hard choices. Sometimes the fun ones are the ones that are most toxic and dangerous to our future. And that's the hard part, is when we have to separate from that. Those choices, those hard choices that we have to stay every day and stay motivated making, are the hardest ones to make. But we have to think about tomorrow, not today. Thank you.